Welcome to Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup. I'm your host, Jason Bland, and we are back. I am so sorry about last week. Our guest, Paul Wallace, had some medical stuff going on. He's recovering. He's fine. And we are going to get him rescheduled. I haven't found a date yet for him yet. He hasn't got back to me yet, but we're going to get him on. We'll figure it out. Because you know I love Paul Wallace. I'm so sorry about that. And I was just beat. I don't know you. Everybody else has been sick for weeks, right? Right? I don't know about you. You probably know somebody, or you are. Been sick for like 2 weeks, like tickling your throat, or 3 weeks, or you think you're getting over it, and it comes back. Yeah, that's what we've been going through. It's been great, fun. So I was pretty wore out last week, and I am apologizing. I know a lot of you guys were probably disappointed we didn't have a show, and I apologize. We don't have a lot of guests booked up for the next couple months either. We're going to have a lot more open lines, so you guys are going to be making the shows unless I get some guests booked. And probably shorter shows. Tonight, I don't know if we'll go the full 3 hours. Our guest is all the way calling 5 in the morning from Denmark. Her name is Marzcia Techau. She is the author of Your Soul, Your Life, A Guide to Healing and to Self-Healing. I can't wait to talk to this lady. She's a very well-known medium in Denmark. She's worked with haunted houses, healing. We're going to get all kinds of different topics with her. She's a great guest for the Paranormal Soup. And, of course, World Wide Web Weird. Lots of weird in the World Wide Web Weird. Too much because we've been gone. And, of course, with all the UFO craziness. And I am fitting in the last 2 of the 7 articles tonight. We're going to do it kind of what we would do on New Year's since I don't have a New Year's show. So we got that. And then we'll open up the phone lines later in the show to talk to our guest, Marzcia Techau, author of Your Soul, Your Life. We got a lot to get to, so let's go ahead and get rolling into the show. Welcome to another night of Paranormal Soup. I'm your host, Jason Bland. Tonight's guest, Marzcia Techau, will join us after the World Wide Web of Weird, after our first commercial break. But joining me, as always, is my beautiful co-host, Jamie D. How you doing tonight, Jamie?
Doing well, thank you. Happy
Miss
to
you.
that.
Miss you. That's the only thing I was sad. I almost did it just so I could spend some time with you guys on Christmas weekend. I was just so beat, honestly, working retail and all this. I'm ready for my winter hours, a slower season, and only thing that's been nice is my kids have been on winter break. I don't have to be up early tomorrow for them. I have to be up for work. But hey, enough complaining. I don't know if Rob's going to make it. He was trying to make it here. He had something going on. I'm going to probably have to run the World Wide Web of Weird, so bear with me because I'm definitely rusty as it is with the show stuff. But we got a lot to get to, so let's go ahead and roll into the World Wide Web of Weird. Tonight on the World Wide Web, we're going to continue the ongoing story of what has become from UFO disclosure to UFO alien invasion. I don't know what the heck is going on. Just aliens, UFOs, right? Well, this one is an article I've been seeing popping around on different sites. And the funny thing is I actually are talking about an interview that happened in 1999. I actually remember this interview. I remember listening to this interview. What's interesting is the man in this interview, he's part of the U.S. Air Force before, said he wouldn't be able to talk about any of this stuff alien-wise until 2025. Here we are. For those listening on the Paranormal Soup radio network, we are a webcast streaming out live to YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and streaming on, of course, Paranormal Radio Network. Oh, and we got Rob here. Let me add him to the stage. Rob's got his screen up, so I'm going to remove mine. All right, we'll get Rob's on up. Hey, Rob, unmute. I didn't hear you.
How's it going?
Hey, whoa, yeah, little hot on the mic, but you're good. A little hot. Did you have a Merry Christmas?
I had a Christmas. Merry as could be.
Merry. I had a great Christmas, except for the sick, congestion crap. Keep me up all night, Otherwise, it was good. It was good. I missed you guys. I'm sorry we didn't do a show last week. And I've been totally beat. But enough of me whining. We're going to get to this first one from Unexplained Mysteries. Details of exactly what a U.S. Air Force has been hiding in Area 51 could be revealed in the very near future. Situated around 83 miles northwest Las Vegas, Nevada. We know about Area 51. Let's get on to the article, further part of it. It wasn't until 2013 when declassified CIA files were published, then and the U.S. Air Force officially acknowledged that Area 51 was part of Nevada test, blah, blah, blah. We know that. Let me get to the good part. One gentleman spent 12 of his 30 years in black programs at Groom Lake, said Goodall, who interviewed him. I asked him, I said, can you really tell me what is happening out there? And he said, well, there's a lot of things that are going on that I won't be able to tell you until the year 2025. Unexplained Mysteries has this and a link to the original article interview. I missed something here because I'm trying to skip forward because I got a lot tonight. Hold on. He said they have things out there that would make George Lucas envious. And that's when I remembered I'd seen this interview when he said that. With the 2025 just around the corner, could we be about to gain access to new declassified materials that could lift the lid on exactly what has been happening in Area 51? Some have speculated this could be a reference to an automatic declassification bill established that year in 1999 by then President Bill Clinton that discloses government secrets after 25 years. Not a big Bill Clinton fan, but that's a good piece of legislation, right? He signed it. They passed it. Are they going to hold to it? How many of you here think they're going to actually hold to the 25-year declassification? Because I seem to know we had some laws said about JFK files supposed to be released that they still haven't cooperated with. So I don't have much hope for just because they have a declassification, we're going to get something in 25 years. This guy who said this maybe because in reference to this bill in that year. Or maybe it's Project 2025. And we're seeing it now with all the UFO drones in the air. I still think from stuff I'm seeing, which there's tons, that we have definite man-made military-grade drones up in the air right now.
I saw them here last week.
You think it was drones, military-grade?
I don't know if it was military, but it was a big, huge drone.
Did it make noise?
Yeah.
I say if it's huge, it's got to be some kind of very beyond commercial grade.
Oh yeah.
It has to be something that doesn't have obviously the built-in R&R where basically RFID or whatever. It sends back a signal identifying the drone. Doesn't have that. All right. But some of these I've seen, and I have tons of this footage. We could spend a whole night if we're gonna have an open lines on this one of these nights. That are sorry, that's not a drone. What it's doing, how big it is, how it's moving. I don't know what that is. I've seen stuff like that. I've seen these things getting shot down. I've seen all kinds of stuff. I don't know if any of it's real. So is 2025 the year?
As much as I complain about a crappy video, I have a video of what I saw, and it's very crappy.
We're going to have some open lines coming up here soon, so we might have to do just a whole UFO open lines.
The ones that you saw?
Yeah.
Did they have the
Royale sent me one. Royal sent me one. Royale sent me one today from his nephew, I think he said, and that was in Boston. and it's just lights in the sky he took pictures of. But I mean, he could see it. It was odd. I mean, people are seeing these all over. We got to move on. We're gonna run out of time. All right, let's move on to the next one. Military witnesses describe encounter of very bright and silent UFO. This comes unexplained mystery submitted to the National UFO Reporting Center back in November. The encounter itself took place in October. A lot of this stuff, I think, really started hitting off in September, October, and we didn't really start getting in the news until November, or even early December. It took place in October in a campsite somewhere in Santa Rosa Mountains of California. According to the witness, who remains anonymous, the strangers began around 11 p.m. I was the only camper hunter in the area that night, and it was pitch black out. Instantly, everything, all natural animal insect noises went completely silent, and the entire area lit up brighter than the brightest full moon I've ever seen. But I knew it wasn't the moon because I'd already located the moon prior to that, and it was dimly lit, waning gibbous. Thinking a really quiet truck was pulling into the campground with its headlights on, I peeked out from under the tarp and saw a stationary bright white light about 20 to 30 feet in length, about the size of a medium-sized helicopter, but with light encompassing the entire object, hovering at a treetop level behind a 30 to 40-foot tall pine tree only about 100 yards away. It made obviously no noise, didn't pulsate or move, and did not radiate any sort of heat. It was about 40 degrees Fahrenheit that evening. I observed it for at least a minute before fear took over, and I sank back down into my bed of my truck and into my sleeping bag. When he next looked out, it was 2:30 a.m., and there was no further sign of the object. Strangely, he decided to spend a second night at the same location because he had been unable to recall that anything had happened until around 2 days later. Let me repeat that part. Strangely, he decided to spend a second night at the same location because he had been unable to recall that anything had happened until 2 days later. What does this sound like to you? I've backpacked, hunted the backcountry routinely in the past 15 years, spent over 25 years in the military. I've never experienced anything like this before, he added. All things stand, exactly what he witnessed that night continues to remain a complete mystery. I think he was abducted. How do you think?
It's kind of sounds...
He doesn't remember the incident until 2 days later.
Yeah.
He went back into his tent, and it was until 2:30 a.m. that he finally went and looked back again. I think you were abducted, buddy. On to the next story.
His butt hurt.
Oh, now, let's be nice.
Saying.
Honestly, though, I would love to talk to the guy. I honestly like him to look into that. Because I read that line, that sentence. I'm like, he didn't remember for 2 days later. I'm like, oh, man, reminds me of Terry Lovelace, Devil's Den,
Exactly.
Camping trip. You're going right up that alley. Dude, you need to go buy Terry Lovelace's Devil's Den. That's what I tell that guy. You go read that book. Yeah. All right, let's move on. Now, this is a weird story out of Nebraska. I'm going to read it from Tim Binnell from Coast to Coast. In a bizarre story out of Nebraska, a mysterious individual made himself available to multiple people in separate odd traffic accidents, leaving those who have encountered the proverbial highway fan would wonder if he was behind the strange events. The curious case reportedly began late last month when Kyle Sorensen ran over a bicycle that was sitting in the middle of a road in the community of Bennington. While looking to see if his car had been damaged, a man pulled up behind me, and it was this individual saying he was checking to make sure we were okay. Though nothing came of the seemingly good-natured exchange, it was the beginning of a truly weird series of events. Shortly afterwards, Sorensen's encounter with the man, his wife drove by the same location and witnessed the mysterious individual tending to another accident. Things became even more eerie this past weekend when the highway phantom appeared under strange circumstances yet again. Sorensen's friend Garrison Beach was cruising down the highway, and he spotted a big piece of metal in the middle of the road. That caused him to swerve his car into the roadside ravine. While he and his wife, Skylar, came out of the accident unscathed, they were ultimately unnerved when this guy showed up at the scene seconds after the crash. As one may have surmised by how the helpful stranger was, the same individual was offered to aid to Sorensen. Chillingly, Beach recalled that he had noticed the man parked nearby prior to the accident in a manner that would seem to suggest that he was waiting for it to occur. Setting aside those suspicions, Sorensen observed that in 2 weeks this has been 3 instances where he was immediately the first person on scene. It seems strange. The two couples reported their respective accidents to the police while voicing their concerns that these cases were connected and possibly intentionally orchestrated. Meanwhile, a local television station covered their curious account, which led to the story taking a rather surreal twist. Jamie, what do you think? Do you think this is a guy setting up to get the right victim, like laying stuff in the road? Listen, there was 2 things laid in the road. Like, this comes out like, is this a phantom or no? I think this is somebody, like, they suspect setting something up in the road. And he's like, "Are you all right? Oh, you're not the beautiful blonde college girl. Okay.
Throwing
Doesn't
like
have, I feel like.
bikes or something out there so somebody has to pull over.
So, like, just be aware, people. People want to. There are nefarious individuals, and they feel they can grab people on the highways and stuff, and they might do something like this, like put something out. What?
Like he wants to be seen as the hero, like how firemen start fires.
Oh, like he wants to be a hero.
Oh, yeah.
That's my wife.
Yeah, like he wants.
We just had one of those in California, tell her.
So they're pulling on the scene so people can see them in action.
But then is he causing an accident to be a hero?
There you go.
Or he could be looking for the perfect bodysuit.
That's what I'm saying. He puts the lotion in the basket or he gets the
Exactly.
hose, right? You know, like I'm just saying, I'm going more the Silence of the Lambs route with this.
Yeah.
My wife's
Yeah.
kind of going like the fake Good Samaritan, which is a possibility. Either way, be cautious if you're out on the highway or a road. There's not a lot of people, houses around. People pulling crap like this.
There's a lot of the bumps too, where they'll bump the back of your car
Mm-hmm.
so that when you get out.
Yeah. So I mean, the way that several articles posted is like phantom. No, he pulls up in a car. He's not a phantom. I think this is either like my wife said, a Good Samaritan, like fake Good Samaritan, trying to set up like I help people, or
Because we did
this
have a
is like
fireman like that out there.
Yeah, it could be like that, but I feel like it's like a setup. He's looking for the perfect victim.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like he helped him very much, did he? Didn't hear that he
It
helped
could
him
be
much.
for
Are you all right?
trafficking.
Okay, you're good. You're not a college blonde girl.
He could
Okay.
be a trafficker.
Right.
or
Like I said, he could be
workforce
looking for the
trafficker.
perfect victim. I just saw that
Yes.
in my true crime part of myself, which we don't really do true crime on this show,
Mm-mm.
but I have a
But
very
you
good
know where
deep
my
true
mind
crime
goes.
heart. Yeah, me and Jamie both are into true crime. We
Mhm.
we could totally do a separate podcast on true crime. That's what my mind gets to, not paranormal. Be cautious, people. People are
Mhm.
more scary than the paranormal.
Oh,
All right, let's move on to the next one. This one I feel real bad, and this one all went down during Christmas for this poor family. Terrified family begs counsel for new house due to poltergeist activity. The High Court, and this is in Ireland, recently has been dealing with a rather spooky Christmas case concerning a council house. This, I suppose I'm not from Ireland, that this is like, what would they call it? Sanctioned housing or something like this for people. It's said to be haunted by a poltergeist. Thomas and Louise Stokes told the court that the house their family had been moved into, so they don't get to pick where they live, to get away from the mold problem in their previous home had left them terrified because of paranormal activity. The activity reportedly included objects being flown from side to side and items being flung around. Doors, tables, and chairs were also seen moving around in front of their eyes. A letter from the house previous occupant described as being traumatic was also presented at this hearing. Everyone deserves a home. I never asked for a mansion. I asked for a safe home for my kids, said Luis. I just want somewhere safe for my kids 5 days before Christmas. In the end, however, High Court Mr. Justice Simons struck out the family's claim against the Leitrim County Council because the case had been about the first house with the mold, not about the new one with the alleged haunting. Oh, technicality. Sorry, guys. Merry Christmas. Well, he stated that he understood their concerns. I understand your concerns. That bull crap statement about the safety of their children. He concluded that claiming for a third house would require a whole new application to the local authority. Whether a family will spend Christmas with a resident poltergeist, however, remains unclear. I feel bad, man. Back in the day, I don't really do investigations more, but I did residential. It's always people's homes, people living in it. I always said it's hard to get in the ones that are really bad because people don't do it. They just get out. And if they're a renter, they get out. If they own it, I've seen them get out, leave their stuff behind, and go into foreclosure bad. But these people don't have a home. They don't get to choose where they live. They're under government subsidy in Ireland. And they have no choice. And the first house they put them in had mold in it with kids. Screw you. Screw this people that did this to this family.
Yeah.
And, I'm not judging them for being on government assistance. They're just trying to get a house for their kids. And they're giving them first house. Oh, here's a house with mold. Okay, no, not that one. Here's this one. It's got, it's the demon. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
All right, we better move on. Yeah, we got to really move on. I'm really running behind. We got a Bigfoot photographed in Ganado, Arizona. Is that what I'm saying? In a canyon? Is that how you say it? I don't know. Reportedly taken in the Navajo land between cornfields and Greasewood, Arizona. This intriguing photograph has been doing the rounds on social media over the last couple of weeks. The person who posted it claimed that her aunt captured the image at the end of a small canyon after hearing strange noises while out with her livestock on her homestead. Little else is known about the case other than that the creature was allegedly sighted again a few days later, but the family had decided not to try to hunt it down, but to instead just to leave it alone. That's a good idea. Stories of such creatures have reportedly been told in the region for many years. The image itself gained renowned attention when it was posted to my favorite Bigfoot website, Rocky Mountain Sasquatch Organization, which also put out detailed analysis video. While some social media users maintain that the images show a genuine Sasquatch, others are not so sure. They believe it's either a deliberate hoax or a case of mistaken identity. There's no way of knowing. There's no way of knowing, if it's a hoax or not. Yeah, at least it's got provenance. People put their name behind it. They're either faking you or they're not. It's interesting. I don't think people. I don't know. I think the ones that come out and nobody knows who took it, or then okay. But these people are putting their name behind it. I can't see anything right away. It calls it out as telling me that it's fake. He definitely is not mistaken.
Is he wearing
No.
Snow
There's
on
trees
it?
and debris and rock behind him. You're only seeing about the top half of him, a little bit of his leg and butt.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm
Rod's
looking
trying
at
to
a
blow it
little
up, but
picture.
I don't know if you can from that article. I should have given you a zoomed-in one. Sorry.
I'll look at it
We
better.
got like 5 minutes left to do the last two.
I'll look at it better.
Yeah, that's good. That's pretty good. I mean,
Is
nothing
it a
in it
bear?
is telling me that.
It's a bear. I see a bear face. It's a bear.
I don't see a bear.
Oh, he's turning and looking. It looks like a bear face. Yes, now
Maybe it's possibly it could be a bear. It could be a Bigfoot. I don't know. I see the shoulders of more of like a Bigfoot than a bear, but it could be a bear. It's possibly. I don't know. Could be a brown bear.
Where was this?
Could be a bear. Arizona. I don't know what their bear population is. All right, let's move on, though. We're going to run out of time. All right, so because I don't have a New Year's Eve show, and I usually do these my own top ones, I don't have time for that. I've been so busy. I'm so sorry, guys. But Unexplained Mysteries, that I use their website a lot. I love their articles. They're short, good for the show. Has Unexplained Mysteries top UFO stories of 2024, and we're going to run through them just super quick. So number 10, scientists claim to have solved World War II Foo Fighters UFO mystery. During World War II, pilots both sides reported witnessing strange phenomena in the skies over Europe and beyond. I don't think we covered that one, but they had some explanation. I know the explanation. They had an explanation years ago. Yeah, it was stupid. It's not a good top story. Pentagon allegedly has video of UFO disabling a nuclear missile. Unreleased video, because this all came up during the hearings, reportedly exists that shows an unknown object interfering with a nuclear missile, because this came up during the hearings. But we don't know where that footage is. Somebody has it. The Pentagon, DOD, classified. All right, number 8, mysterious jellyfish UFO film floating over U.S. military base. Everybody knows the jellyfish. I mean, that thing's crazy looking. Jamie's opinion is really good on. I think you pointed that out, that it's a jetpack man in some kind of high-tech gear. Like, it looks alien. It does. But I think it could be our some experimental technology, and it's like jetpack. I mean, think about it. They can insert soldiers with this technology onto locations, and I think they were testing it, because one of these were filmed over in Iran too. All right, but this one was over the military base. MUFON unveils unidentifiable alien material at annual symposium, and it turns out later it was identifiable. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, it was tested. They didn't find. I mean, not that it was identifiable, but it was not of unearthly origins. Anonymous witnesses of Shag Harbor UFO shares deathbed confession. Number 5, Pentagon releases a report of pilot UFO encounter over Gulf of Mexico. Number 4, workers spot large dark metallic disc over Red Rocks Amphitheater. Remember that one? That was a good one. What's number 3? Former aide claims he was briefed on otherworldly technology. Former senior advisor maintains that he was told about alien technologies by a top CIA official. Number 2, UFO witnesses to testify at congressional hearing November 13th, which turned out to be nothing. Mysterious deepens as police UAVs or drones are evade pursuit. That's the main story that we're ending this year with. All right, so now on to the last thing we always do for New Year's is Nostradamus predictions. We only got a couple minutes for this. Let's see if they got a list on this. Yeah, let's see. No, they don't have a list on this. He predicted, so great powers will clash and a decrease in the influence of established Western countries and the emergence of a new world powers. Boy, that seems like he's kind of spot on there, what's going on. On the plus side, he also predicted new breakthroughs in medical science, noting that there would be significant improvements in illness prevention and treatment. Maha, make America healthy again. He also suggested that a lengthy ongoing war would come to end in 2025. Pick one. Got a few. I mean, not just Ukraine, Yemen, the whole Israel-Palestine thing might as well be a war. Through a long war, all the army exhausted, so that they do not find money for the soldiers. Instead of gold or silver, they will come to coin, leather, Gaelic brass, and the crescent sign of the moon, he wrote. Some believe that the Gaelic brass and the crescent or sign of the moon are references to France and Turkey. Beyond 2025, Nostradamus made reference to some sort of asteroid strike. Of course, I think that way later. From Cosmos, a fireball will rise, a harbinger of faith, world please, science and faith, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I think that's like way later, the whole thing, like 1,000 years later, but okay. But that's it for the World Wide Web of Weird. I know we're not going to have a New Year's show, so I threw these in on the World Wide Web of Weird. I think that one kind of quatrain that they're saying for 2025 really kind of hits it when it comes about Western powers fading. Well, that's really what's happening, isn't it? So kind of nailed that, but I don't know. I think Nostradamus is super interesting. I think there's something to it, but at the same time, I can agree with skeptics. There's a lot of interpretation left.
Yeah, it's all perception and interpretation.
It really is, but there's some stuff I don't know.
And then
man.
adding it up into what's like really going on, but how you.
I don't know. It's enough to have lasted way beyond his death. Plenty of people for hundreds of years believe he was predicting something. He's got to be something behind it. All right, that's it for the World Wide Web of Weird. Tonight's guest, Marzcia Techau, will join us. She's the author of Your Soul, Your Life, a guide to healing and self-healing. And we will have an hour with her and then open up the phone lines later in the show to call in and talk to our guests. I don't think we're going to go the full 3 hours tonight. We might end earlier, but we'll definitely have time for some phone calls tonight for sure. But our guest is Marzcia Techau after the short commercial break. We'll be right back.
You were brought here for one purpose, necromancy.
A ceremony dating back to the pre-Christian era. It's the art of reviving the dead. It requires involvement with evil spirits by the person performing the act.
The devil god brings life to the dead.
No, please. No, please.
And death to the living. Necromancy. Starring Orson Welles and Pamela Franklin. From Cinerama releasing. In color, rated PG, parental guidance suggested.
If you are interested in discovering the truth about the paranormal and want to hear from leading researchers in the field, join Justin Brown on his 3 weekly shows named My Paranormal Soapbox, Necromancer Live Show, and the Supernatural Symposium, live on Facebook, YouTube, and InterfaceDeath.net.
He is conducting an experiment into the combined effects of sensory deprivation and hallucinatory drugs. The subject of the experiment is himself, and the experiment is out of control. Ken Russell's Altered States, a film that must not be missed, is in the West End now. Altered States, Certificate X.
Hello, I am Fernando Martinez. I think by now you know I am an emotional kind of guy. People stop me in the street and say, Fernando, what the hell is wrong with me? Silk shirt, hairy chest, enough aftershave to drown a household pet, but I still cannot get a woman. I tell them you are an ignorant fool. Without a symbol of power and fertility around your neck, what kind of woman is going to respect you? That is why I have teamed up with Medallion Man, the shop for medallion needs. Medallion Man caters to all levels of masculinity. For the strong, silent type, a medallion the size of a hubcap will say everything that needs to be said. Even singing medallions for the Casanova who knows music is the food of love. Model trains, dollhouses, diapers, whatever your interest, we've got the medallion for you. Don't forget, every woman knows if you can't support a medallion, you can't support a family.
This is the sound of a space clock aboard a U.S. satellite 180 miles above the Earth. No one winds up this timepiece. It's powered by a tiny battery, a battery that delivers power for years without replacement. Now the same type of battery, the Duracell battery, can bring new reliability and long life to your battery-operated equipment. Radios, cameras, toys, all run far longer. Duracell batteries, the long-distance power cells, outlast any ordinary battery. The same type of battery that keeps space clocks running for years can bring long life to anything powered by batteries. Dura, as in durable. Cell, as in power cell. The Duracell battery, made by Mallory.
Switch to DCS ranging.
240, nominal to profile.
We're in the pipe. 5 by 5.
Tonight on Paranormal Soup, our guest is Marzcia Techau. Marzcia is a master of science and biology, speaker, author, spiritual teacher, clairvoyant counselor, healer, Reiki master, and somatic experience practitioner working with Peter Levine's somatic experience method. For the past 20 years, Marzcia has worked with a blend of scientific and spiritual understandings of life, and part of her master thesis was a healing study of plants at the University of Copenhagen. Later, she worked as a research assistant at a study of energy healing effects on cancer survivors at the University of Southern Denmark. She has worked as a medium and has been taking clients for 22 years. In recent years, she has worked as a teacher of healing and clairvoyance, as a writer, and has been giving talks to a broad audience. In her teaching, her talks, as well as in her book, she emphasizes the relationship between natural science and the spiritual world by applying new knowledge and scientific research, and her decimation of the healing and human development and spiritual practices. She has previously written the book, When the Spirit Comes Calling. It's not available in English in my notes here, and participated in a number of articles as well, TV and radio broadcasts, including The Spirit Returns on Danish TV3+. She's also the author of Your Soul, Your Life, A Guide to Healing and Self-Healing. We're going down a lot of rabbit holes here tonight, especially in the spiritual realm. I will open up the phone lines later in the show to talk to our guest, Marzcia Techau, but we got a lot to get to, so let's go ahead and get to our guest. All right, let's get her in the panel here. How you doing tonight, Marzcia? Thank you so much for joining us here early in the morning in Denmark.
Oh yeah, it's quite early, but yeah, thank you very much, and it's so interesting to listen to your news as well. Very interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think of the Nostradamus predictions? Are you a Nostradamus fan?
Yeah, I know him. Yeah, I think as you said, there's a lot of interpretation about it, but still there's really many things that suits very well during the year, so it's quite amazing.
He impressed the people of his own time during his own lifetime, so that people kept his work and passed this on, that there's something to Nostradamus. But like I said, skeptics have a big, good argument there when it comes to the interpretation part of the quatrains. Sadly, we don't have him to ask.
Hints, so.
Yeah, like I said, there's some stuff he says that seems spot on.
Yeah.
That's why I like to remind people it's up to perception or how you perceive it. That just because you might not see it that way, you have to look at everything that's happening around it and what's happened over the years, and you just might be perceiving it differently.
I'm a child of the 80s, and we had all these like Doomsday Nostradamus specials. There was like one they always played, and they showed the guy in the turban blowing up the Statue of Liberty in New York and all this stuff. I was like, I always call us the Doomsday Generation X that grew up. that kind of stuff. It's like, we're doomed. Anyways, enough about that.
He definitely was on to something.
That's our Gen X mentality. We're all doomed. I know Nostradamus said the world will end, but I think it was like 3,000 years from now. Anyways, for you, what brought you into this? For you being a medium, does this go all the way back to your childhood that you had this ability? When did it all start for you?
Yeah, it's of course it's some of the way my whole system works. It's like it's something that I'm born with, but what I mostly noticed when I was a child was that I was highly sensitive. So I was really sensitive to other people's sensations, emotions, the surroundings, and I was quite often overwhelmed by people, because normal when people say something, I could, people are saying, I feel good, and I could sense they were not feeling good. So I was confused about what I was sensing, and that way I started to remove myself a little from humans, because they were, it was confusing for me. So I connected very much with animals, and animals, they do that they connect heart to heart. So it's simple love connection.
They don't lie.
And in that way, I think I continue to have this feeling of soul to soul, or being together with beings that couldn't talk but talked in so many other ways. So kind of developing communication with animals telepathically, and then it's just opened up. And when I was finished with what we would say like high school in Denmark, gymnasium, I traveled to Iceland because I had Icelandic horses, and I wanted to go up there and ride those small ones.
Wow.
And really enjoy my time there. I was away for 3 weeks, and the last week before I entered a ride back home, I had a really clear dream, like a premonition dream, where I was dreaming about the sheep that I had back home, that she was dying, and I was waking up like a nightmare. I was like, what? Yeah. And again, I remember I had nearly a closer contact to animals than humans, so for me it was like a really dear friend that was dying.
Yeah.
And I was just, saying, I wake up, I was like, oh, what? She's going to die. So I was just taking a postcard of a very big ram, and because they have a lot of sheep in Iceland, so that's some of the things that they have postcards of as well. So I was sending this postcard home to Sigsine, the sheep, and saying, hey, keep hanging on there. I will be home in a week. And it's like, yeah, of course, I was, I'm doing well, mother and father and everything like that, but And the thing was, when my parents, they had just buried her, they drove down, opened the mailbox, took out the postcard, and then they picked me up in the airport. Oh. And I was like, how could I know? She wasn't sick when I was leaving, anything. I hadn't any contact, but I knew that she was dying before she was dying. Yeah. And at that time I was 18. So this, with my sensitivity, and when I grow up, it's normal for children with skills that they have a lot of contact when they are around 0 till 5, 6 years old. When they start school, the logical brain, if you can say it, will take over, because that's the training we got in school. But then when you get a teenager, when you manage to go there somehow, then your skills will blow up again. And then in my coincidences was like that. So when I was a teenager, I started very much to have these dreams. So I had the one with the sheep, and then I went to Asia for a travel later on when I was 19. And then I had a dream again about the horse that I was going home to ride, because it was the first foal that I had. And now Icelandic horse, they are around 4 years when you start to ride them. So I was like, 4 years, I'm going home to have this marvelous time with her for the rest of her life. But I dreamt that she was just lying on the field, dead. And I didn't dare to phone my parents. So it was like, I think I waited 5 weeks before I phoned home and said, hi. And again, I sent some letters to some of my horse friends that because my parents wasn't really good at I had been taking care of the horses for when I was 12 till at that time I was 19. So my parents didn't really have any feeling with it. So I was like talking to mailing my horse friends that, hey, please have an eye on my
check in.
Yeah, check in on them. But when I phoned home, she was dying, as she had died. So 2 times in 1 year, I had those really intense dreams about death, and I couldn't change the dreams. Even if I had tried, I couldn't change the results. So it's like, what happened here? I was scared about that ability. So I wasn't really looking forward to open up even more, because for me it was connected with something really scary. And then it slowly opened up more and more. So when I was I think it was in my mid-20s, I got a Reiki 1 healing, a healing course, just Reiki 1. But what's interesting with Reiki is that it supports the skills that you have. So if you're good at math, it will support you to be better to math, because it's part of your soul's purpose. Or
it ain't a part of mine. I'm horrible at it.
But for me, it was my skills as a medium. So quite fast, I started to make a lot of healings, and I started to sense a lot of presence of the spirit. And normally, I was like, if I see a dead person, I will die. I was so afraid. So I had all these dreams about death, and then dead people started to come up. So I was quite scared, actually. So when I was in my late 20s, I fall in love, and again that opens the heart very much, and a new wave of spiritual activity started. So for me, it's more like as I grow up and my senses and my heart opened, then the connection with the spirit world opened as well. So it's like I was trying to close myself down for life because it was too scary, but then I have to open up, and every time I opened up, even more contact. So I had to, in my late 20s, I had this feeling of, even though I was living next to a forest, so I had all the deers coming into my garden, eating all the roses, the roses, and it was a really good life. I had my biology, I had the house out with the forest. It was, not so many people. Everything was all right.
Sounds awesome, actually.
Yeah, it's really good. But the problem was when I started opening up for the spiritual gifts and I couldn't control them, I had contact with spirit all the time. So I had the feeling of walking in a very, very intense street where people was walking in a street in a city where there was a lot of people all the time. So I had this feeling of, I had 2 possibilities. One, I had spiritual skills, and actually there was another world on the other side that was trying to contact me, or I maybe was insane. So I had this, should I go to the doctor or should I go to a teacher that could help me to understand my skills? I took the teacher skills first. So I started up on a school where it was the first school in Denmark that taught people with skills how to control the skills and use them and develop them. And now when I have my own school and that, I can really see how much my teacher, she's dead now, must have been really laughing inside, because I was coming there. I was in the last part of my biology study, and I said, I just want everything to go away. So you have to help me to let it go. Close it down. I just want a normal life, and I want to continue my biology study. I just, you have she had a whole line of different subjects that you should learn. And the only one I was talking about was, you have one that's called spiritual science. I would like that one. All the other thing, no way. So she was just saying, Marzcia, you're allowed to start on my education. So it's like, So she was like I'm doing now, screening the students, so the ones with skills and that were ready to work with them could start the study. I do the same now when I have my cancel.
You like people that have like a natural ability versus those
Yeah,
that are going to develop an ability.
you can have the natural ability, but you should also be ready to use them, because you can have the ability, but if you're not stable somehow, if you don't have this anchor in yourself, it could actually be a little too much. And
there's a danger, isn't there?
Pardon?
There's a danger too. I always say to some people getting into the occult or opening themselves up to these things, if they're not well grounded.
Yeah,
I think there's a danger.
Yeah, it could be, because who are you connecting with, and what should you not connect with, and so she had been screening if I was, the right way, even though my brain wasn't, because I was just like, I was so afraid, and I
just like, tell me how to shut this off, and that's all I need.
Yes, I was like, no way. But then I started, and she helped me very much to understand that I could control my sensory system. So I didn't have to go into sensing the spirit world all the time. I could actually be with myself. I didn't have to sense other people. So it's the same skill. So when you sense how other people are feeling, the spirit world they do not have a physical body. They have emotions, they have consciousness. And we have, as human beings, a lot of sensory system connecting to sensing other people's emotions and who they are. So many people have the skills to sense who are the person behind all the, the patterns, and what they are saying is actually just it's not really them. And that skill is actually very good when you're connecting with spirit world, because they are only spirit. They're not physical. But they have emotions, they have thoughts,
it's like,
memories.
Sorry to stop you. So how does the spirits come through to you? Like, how are you sensing them? Is it a feeling? Or are you getting images in your mind? Or are you seeing them? How does spirit come through to you in general?
It's my strongest feeling is my emotion, and the clear emotion skill. And that's because I connect very much. I think the thing is that even though I have been working very much as a psychic counselor, in my heart I'm a healer. And a healer, when you heal, you create a channel where there is a lot of healing that supports your client. So that's emotions as well, because the healing is a lot of love, a lot of peacefulness or strength that comes through, and that's actually emotions that are transferred to the client, so that the client can, heal up from difficult stuff in themselves, or be stronger. So I sense the presence very much. So when I open up, I sense the presence of a soul, and then I start to communicate with that. I start to sense the presence. And I get pictures or I mirror. It's like we have mirror neurons that mirror the presence of. I could feel physical things that person have. So I could start to feel.
Like sensations in your body.
Yeah. So I have sensations in my body. I have feelings, the clear feel emotions, and also get pictures. And I sometimes can hear. If I work with a spirit, the loved one from spirit world that have problems with alcohol, then I hear, bottles so I hear that sound. Or if I'm trying to find out what language or which area of region of Denmark it is, I listen to dialects, because then I hear the voices and I can see, that must be the southern part of Denmark.
But you will hear like a different voice than like your own, right?
So it's actually all around, and then sometimes it's just a clear knowing. It's like that's that.
Oh, yeah. And then there's like the knowing. I've been fascinated by the ability, psychic ability, mediumship ability, ever since I was a kid. I remember John Edwards on Sci-Fi Channel, and I watched that constantly. And I've mainly because I've had these weird things since I was my earliest memories. I know as a child I talked to people that were passed on, There's a lot of stories I could give tonight or examples of that. But I have a few, you know, that when I have memories from my childhood that I seen things, talk to people that probably were deceased.
Yeah.
And then, you know, just like you said, it kind of fades away, you go through, and then you hit your teens. And then that stuff starts to come back. And I start, you know, I had a shadow person experience that kind of woke me up, which it can, you know, some people say it's demonic. Some say I don't know if it's alien or interdimensional, whatever this thing attacked me. It was pretty negative. But it opened my eyes to a lot of things, including the existence of a higher power, God or whatever. You know, I didn't join any religion or anything, but I believe in a higher power. After that, that's when I started getting the paranormal, and I had one incident that made me a complete believer. And I mean, deep down, I just felt that it was real anyways. You know, I felt psychics and mediums real, but what really proved it to me is my own experience when I was at a house where it wasn't a client, it was actually my wife's friend's boyfriend. Gave me a picture of a deceased person. It was in his coffin. There was no name on it, and I knew his first name, and I pretty much had his last name. I was pretty damn close to it. Yeah. And I knew so I could hear it as a little voice in my head. Now, it could have been my little inner voice, but I kept hearing it, you know. And the first time I didn't hear it, I blurted it out. I said his first name, he goes by Bill, and it stopped the owner. He's like, wow, how do you know that? Yeah. And I also knew, like, he had the knowing part. I knew that, just deep knowing. It was like somebody was communicating. I knew that he was an alcoholic, and the reason his kids left all this stuff behind because there was a lot of resentment. And he had hidden in that house World War II memorabilia from when he was a soldier, and it was hidden somewhere in the house. And sure enough, 2 weeks later, I think it was, the girlfriend found the hidden little room under the stairs where all this World War II stuff. That was my one John Edwards moment, you know? Like, I've never done that again. And I remember the guy who Mike McDowell trained me in the paranormal said that. He says, well, not everybody, you know, he was like, just because you had it doesn't mean you're John Edwards. And he said John Edwards. I'm like, oh, you know, but he's like, you know, you get involved in these things, you're going to have these kind of instances. So, you know, he wasn't trying to like shoot me down, but he's like, these things happen. You know, but I was holding this photograph and I got all that information and I have no idea where. And it's made me completely open when somebody says, I'm a psychic or medium, and I talk to the dead. I said, okay. You know, I'm not an instant skeptic because I have had my experience. I know it's very much real.
Yeah. So it's actually like that. So of course you have some skills here, and it could be interesting for you to train them, because this is, I call it wake up calls. Sometimes they do something. It's so clear that we cannot ourselves really say it's not really true, because it feels really true, and as you can see here, there is a lot of proofs that it's correct. And there will always be someone that will say, it's not really right. But to train it, and it's not coincidental, but it's there, and you can work with it, and you can connect. It's for me, it's really a good gift, because it helps. As here, you know that this loved one, he wanted to tell his relatives where this hidden place was.
That's what it was.
So he really wanted them to know this. Yeah. And you were the match right there that he could use. I see it sometimes, it's like this should be some, it's like something that fits. So I cannot be a medium for all dead ones, but some loved ones could actually communicate with my system, and this man, he could communicate with your system.
Right, that's a good point. I mean, it could, because people ask, like, why isn't it, you know? So, I mean, I'm sure mediums ask this. They have somebody pass on that doesn't come through.
Yeah.
Right. Might be is that they can't connect with that that kind of energy of that person. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
I have often I say two things about that. So when people come to me and want me to have contact with the loved ones, I say I cannot promise that contact.
Right.
Maybe I'm not the right medium for that one, or maybe the dead one is not ready yet. But maybe there is something that should, you know, when you die, what happens is that you see your life in front of you, or you live through your life again somehow. And
life flashes before your eyes.
Pardon?
They say your life flashes before your eyes.
Yeah. And that's somehow you have to digest something. And when you're ready and it's suitable for you to enter into the more physical realm again, because remember, when your soul is for me, it's entering into the divine, like Michael Newton talks about soul home. I call it the same. It's like where our soul is when it's not incarnated, and there it's a very high vibration. It's a very clean, if you can say, emotional good place. So if you have problems in your life, it could be problematic to enter the physical realm so much that a medium can contact with you. So I often have the feeling that if they're not ready to enter a little more, lower their vibration so much that the medium can connect, then it's better for them not to make the contact. So it could be the readiness of the deceased one, but it could also be the match between the medium and the deceased one. So in that way, you have to prepare your mind for that.
I've known several mediums now doing this show. Katrina Cooper is one of our favorites we have on. She seems to, I don't know if Katrina really has a preparatory thing. She seems to be able to do this stuff on the phone lines here. Even when she didn't believe she could do it.
Yeah.
Live on the show. But I've known other mediums that'll go through like a pretty good, intense like meditation practice before, like they do like a group or a session or anything to raise their vibration. Like they have to meet the spirit at that level. They have to get their energy up to that level.
Yeah, it's like I see, it's like there's a platform. The medium should have the sensory system connected with that platform, and the deceased one should lower the vibration so we can communicate there. So normally when I work with deceased one or communicating with the loved ones, it's like I have to have the proof, so we know that's the person we're talking about. That could be everything. And then after that, I changed to a more, I changed my sensory system into the clearest way in their soul essence, because we have many patterns. Like a living one have sometimes problem of communicating from their soul to your soul. It's like we have a lot of defense mechanisms and patterns and thoughts that actually a part of what we are doing is much more adapted and trauma work than it's actually our soul talking. But when I give messages from the loved ones, it's very important for me that it's from the clearest part of their soul, because from that one there will only be love and understanding and help. And from the lower part where I get the evidence, there could be some of the old patterns. It's like they could be too focused on their own ego instead of the true love for the
It's like if they come down too low in their vibration, those negative parts of their soul start to come out.
Yeah. So I make this change where I get the message, where I get the proofs from, and where I get the message from. So it's you can. So for me, it's like I do meditations, but it's also a part of where I'm in my own. I should be very quiet inside myself, so I can sense everything that's happening is not me. It's the spirit world trying to come closer, so I can feel who they are and what they want to say. So it's like my own system is really, really, as Marzcia, I'm not gone, but I'm in a deep meditation, and the rest happening is actually the spirit world that I sense. So in that way, I'm not disturbing the contact as me, but I'm using my whole sensory system and my body as a communicator that reflects the deceased one.
So you have to be very, very aware of yourself inside and out, in a sense, to sense the changes, the differences that the spirit's bringing through.
Yeah. So that it's like sense. I should sense every change in my body or my thoughts and emotions, what I'm noticing. So the results is like an extra.
Does it seem like they have to use your own perceptions and memories to communicate to you? Is what I've seen from other mediums. It's that they have to like use something in your mind that, oh yeah, this means this. Like they use it's like they have to use the puzzle pieces of your brain to communicate with you, in a sense, your experiences.
Yeah, they do. It's not that often that they use my own memories. It's more often that
You see their memories?
I'm receiving their memories. So it's it's like I'm being a mirror of them. They come close and I mirror them, just like a camel, not a camel, the one that changes colors after where it walks. It's like, okay, I cannot remember the English word of it.
Yeah, I mean, you're way better at speaking Denmark than or speaking English than I am speaking Danish. So.
Okay, so in chameleon, so it's a chameleon.
A chameleon.
Yeah. I think the one that walks very like this and changes colors between.
Yeah, I totally missed that.
Yeah, so perfect.
I think you described it perfectly. Yeah, Jason, I'm just stupid. It's fine. I totally missed that one.
So I feel that my system is working like that. The environment that I'm in contact with, I reflect that very, very intense. Like I'm together. So when I'm at the season into my energy field, I start to mirror that. And I of course I have my own core, that's me, but that's a way when I work. And then I just, the disease one, like I'm mirroring in that. So I partly become that diseased person.
Does that ever have like negative effects?
What's important for me is to know when when I was not trained, I have, you said you had this negative experience. So when I was not trained, when I didn't know what I was doing, and I was still sensing everything around me, both the living one, the dead ones, and all the stuff, and I couldn't figure out what was what. I was so confused because when you don't see someone and you feel sadness or pain, you think it's your own.
Right.
So that's a problem. And when you sense other people, living people, and they are sad, but they look happy, and you get sad, then you say, okay, I will be sad. So I'm a big part of my life before I was trained or skilled in how to, distinguish between what's mine and what's not mine. I was confused because I had a lot of emotions and a lot of physical things. It was so difficult for me to find out what was me and what was the other ones. I thought it was me, everything. So if it was a dead one, I thought it was me. If it was a living one, I thought it was me. Because my sensory system picked up everything very easily. So I had to learn to control, discipline my sensory system. And when I started to do that, it was clear for me I should only open up when I was in contact with, the divine or the most clear place in the universe. So I actually have this, I could know that the person entering my energy field would do good. But before that, it was just everybody, and it was confusing. So it was a dead one or a living one. It was scary, quite scary there. So I actually train my students very much in this sensory discipline, so they can just sense, oh, this is a living one, this is a dead one, this is me. It's so important to keep your focus, because if you don't have that, you will be connected with your sensory system in everything, and that's a problem. And also, if you're just highly sensitive, or if you have a lot of trauma and you are alert, you will also pick up a lot of stuff, both for the living and for the spirit world, that could be in a lower emotional vibration. And that could actually mean that you are carrying a lot of, junk that's not yours, but you think it's yours. And it's very difficult to keep yourself orientated in yourself and in your own life. So I feel that's actually the most annoying part about being highly sensitive. But when you have more control about it and you know how you work, how you function, then it's not the big problem. But before, I had very big problem also being, in contact. The spirit world, that I call it, it's like the spirit world when they're not entering. Some spirit are like hanging in they're not really passed over. They're just in a middle position.
Would that be ghosts?
Yeah, like
hauntings?
I normally say that ghosts, in Denmark we have different explanations, like ghosts.
Folklore.
Yeah, so like ghost is someone it's more like a movie. It's like there's no
Residual. So what we would call it is residual. It's something residual left over. It's not a consciousness. Something that's like replaying over and over again.
Perfect.
And a spirit would be like a haunting, maybe.
So that would be what we normally will call that. So the definition of ghost in America is that there is a consciousness. Is that okay? So we say ghost there. So if you are like hanging there, you cannot. You will try to get energy like you normally do. So if you most souls enter and go to the past lives, not past life, but into.
We'll get into that subject.
In the light, most dead person goes the right way.
Right.
So no problem there. And then the near-death persons, they enter back in the physical body. But many of them talks about this peacefulness or light or colors or contact.
But obviously, some don't make it. Some don't go.
Yeah, and then some stays, and they should have energy, life energy, so they contact actually people that have the skills. They can sense the light somehow. They can sense the energy that people with psychic abilities have. And they will try to, get energy from them. They could be controlled, try to make you fearful or make you sad or make you angry, because every emotion is energy. So in that way, I have had this experience before. I was trained that deceased ones were trying to, drain my energy level so they could get stronger. And that's also what I'm looking for when I go out working with haunted houses. Which person it is. Family actually is the battery for energy for the spirit. And then, of course, I have to heal the spirit. So it's not really past. Somehow there's a story behind that. Mostly you will love to go into the light, because when your body is dead, the soul energy will normally seek its contact to soul energy or divine, and your soul is divine, so divine will your soul will come back to divine. You are divine when you're living, you are in contact with the divine, and when you die you are more divine and passing in.
So you're saying like basically any of these hauntings, whatever, eventually they'll make their way back?
Yeah, they will eventually, but as when I go out, it's like a process. If you're really sad or really angry, you're closing your heart for feeling love or light. If you cannot feel love, or you cannot see light, or if you don't wish peace somehow, then it's difficult to enter the place where there is light and peace and love.
Yeah.
So if you're closed down, you will somehow have to digest your themes or trauma or your emotions, so then you will start to have light. Suddenly one day you will have the deceased ones does not have passed over will somehow pass over, but you could also meet a healer. So I heal the dead ones. So I connect them with what I call the pillar of light, or the dimension we enter when we die. So I connect them with that. I connect them with the loved ones from the other side, as normally when you're dying, there will be somehow a thin, it's like the dimensions will flap over each other. So the divine dimension with the loved ones will be very present around the dead one or the dying one. And it will be easy for the dying one to go with the love, because there will be someone on the other side really helping. As we are sitting as physical beings, loved ones, wishing the best for the person and thank you for being in my life or whatever it would be. So we are releasing them, and the other one are helping them over. So what I do when I have a haunted house, I have to find out what's the story here, what's happening here. Which living one is the battery of giving energy to the dead one, because the dead one will, if it didn't get energy, it would not feel alive. So it's
you wouldn't know it was there.
Yeah. So when I heal the dead one, I have this contact with the dimension and with the loved ones on the other side, and actually there the healing process starts. So I'm actually just keeping the room for that healing process, and somehow it's like it could be a alcoholic that haven't passed because there would be a lot of problems, or it could be someone that had so much sorrow inside. So when they then connect with the loved ones on the other side that they have missed all the time, that's the reason that they didn't go over. It's like, so I just find out what's the story, and then connect with healing energy, connect with spirit world, and then there will be this release. And then I have to train the living one that was a battery, how to control their sensory system. And actually, as in your coincidence, I would probably give you some advice about how you can use the contact with the loved ones on the other side. So you will start to have.
You keep saying solar plexus. Is that what you're saying? Like that region?
It could be solar plexus. It could also be heart. But there's a lot of this.
Well, it makes sense to me. It makes sense to me because, like, when I get negative from somebody, like hate, anger, or even if they have nothing at me and they're fighting, two people are fighting, where I get sick, or it hits me every time. Like debilitating is my solar plexus.
Yeah, the reason the solar plexus is a sensitive area. Remember how many children talks about they have stomach pains. I don't want to go to school. I have stomach pains.
Yeah.
Because actually, solar plexus is not an organ. It's a center of your sensory system. So you have a lot of sensory systems coming out, sensing from your solar plexus, and it's like the solar plexus has contact with your overconsciousness and your subconsciousness. So it's like there's something going down to the subconscious and something going to the upconscious. It takes everything in, and if it's other people's emotions and you're not aware of that, it will be parked.
I'm aware of it nowadays. I'm aware of it, but shutting it down has been an issue. So I would be interested in that because I've always felt like it's even hurt me in fights. Like, I've not been in a lot of fights. I'm not a violent person, but in fist fights, I've been in a couple. I'm managing to fight that off at the same time I'm fighting somebody because they're angry or mad at me, which is why we're fighting, and I'm feeling it through there. That's how it hits me.
So actually, emotions. There's physical violence. Is you say, oh, that's really violence, but emotional violence, anger and dominance and sarcasm, it's actually also emotional violence, or also verbal violence is hitting you in the same way.
Right.
So actually, you have to. What I do, I have I have a lot of free healing meditations on my website that's actually connected to what I used in the start of my training of disciplining my sensory system. Because the problem is not if you feel other people very clearly, you have much possibility to feel the spirit world very clearly, because it's the same sensory system. You feel emotions, you feel other people's state. Yeah. You feel the non-physical part of the physical person. And that's actually exactly the same that the spirit have. They have the non-physical part of the human being because they are a non-physical part of the human being. So in that way, when I those healing meditations, so in your coincidence, I would say I have one called the bucket exercise, where you're connecting with a healing meditation and releases what's not yours. So you come back to yourself. So when people are very emotional or they are very sensitive to environment, emotions in environment in other people or places, I recommend them to take that one time a day when they go before sleeping. So you're not going into sleep with a lot of other people's stuff in your own stuff, because then the night will be really what's yours and what's not yours. You're trying to digest something that you cannot digest because it's belonging to other people. You cannot solve other people's problems.
Right. Right.
So in that way, I have this meditation, guided meditation, self-healing meditation, where you actually releases other people's stuff into buckets, and it's going into the light, and you're receiving healing to somehow build you up again. So
when it comes to the dreams, that makes a lot of sense to me. I've had a lot of dreams since my childhood to my adulthood where I've dreamt of the future coming true.
Yeah.
And I want to talk. We're going to come up to commercial break in about 10 minutes.
Oh, sorry.
I definitely want to get in. I definitely want to get in tonight. We'll open the phone lines, but I definitely want to get in about your idea you mentioned way earlier about destiny and free will. Because when you have seen the future and then you see it happen, you know, it brings into the questions are things predestined. Now, I had something in my life that to me proved I could change things more than a couple times. I've seen the future where I actually felt like I changed the outcome from seeing it. I've been always interested in time travel movies because of that. I'm interested in time because there are things do we have at the same time I feel like we do have a destiny because there's things that happened that came together that led me to do this show, what I feel like I'm supposed to be doing, right? I don't make a living from this. It's not my job, but but this community and these people is important to me, and it's all brought together, I think, in some sense by destiny. But again, I don't know because I know you can see things from the future and they can change. Like I said, I've always been fascinated with time and time travel because of that, because of these premonitions I've had since I was a kid.
Yeah, but it's as you say, something is like it's predestined. It's like you cannot. I say it's like there's some milestones or keystones in your life that you cannot pass. You have to be there, and some of them you can actually. It could take shorter time or longer time. You have a free will to come around it, but a part of our destiny, I feel, is not quite free will. Not in this round, but maybe it was free before we entered. I would like to have this experience in this life.
We might have planned out the roadmap.
Your own decisions before you were born. But when you're here, you forget it. So there is some free will, but there's also destiny. So it's like those have to somehow, they are closely working together.
Roads chosen, as I always say it.
That's a good one. Yeah,
we set up a lot of paths for ourselves. What I've thought about it over the many years, times I've thought about it is that we must have before we come here, because I'm a believer in reincarnation. I've had 2 very vivid dreams, and I've had a past life regression, but I've had 2 vivid dreams that, to me, convinced me that I deep down I always felt it was there. Like as a kid, I felt reincarnation was real.
Yeah.
Before I grew up in a very open household. Thank you, Mom and Dad. I love you. I grew up in a very open religious household. My mom's a Buddhist now, and my dad's just in quantum physics, science, and stuff, but open-minded. So I grew up very open household. I believe in reincarnation, all this stuff. I had this stuff. Your book is called Your Soul, Your Life. What that comes down to, we get into reincarnation, we can talk about that tonight, but what is the human soul? What are we talking about? What are we, in a sense?
Yeah. In Your Soul, Your Life, I'm really talking about to unlock your soul potential. And I talk about what inhibits your soul potential and what strengthens your soul potential. And what the soul, when I work, I see it more like you have a divine part, because you are, if you say we are children of God, and we are children of mom and dad, and we are part of mom and dad, so then of course we also are children of God, and God is divine. So we have this divine part. And for me, the soul is like it has this travel in different kinds of lives. So all the experience that you have had, every time you live a life, you get involved. You have a lot of knowledge you give, you receive, you contribute to the life that you are a part of, the society you are a part of, the world you are a part of. So in that way, you have a lot of skills that you refine. Every time you are born again, you refine your skills. So when you enter this life, you are not a blank piece of paper. You have a lot of skills with you. So you have refined those skills many times before on your
it's like
soul
those kids
travel.
that are born as idiot savants. So you can play the piano at the age of 5 and play Mozart,
Yeah, you have been playing that piano so many lives before, or you have been working with music or the feeling of music before. So in that way, we have a lot of skills with us, and we also have our life force. I see that because when we have a clinical dead person, and we have a near-death experience. When the soul enters the body again, it's not near-death anymore. It's like you're not clinical dead, you're alive. So in that way, our soul connects also with life force. So we have skills, resources, life force, and divine contact in our soul. And we have all the good experiences, and we also have something maybe that we didn't do really good, or problems that we have made for ourselves in the past life. So when we enter a new life, we have the possibilities to solve that. We couldn't solve it up in the, in the spirit room, because it was too low in frequency. You have to go down and solve it. So somehow it's also every trauma also, have the possibility to release more soul substance, or involving more knowledge. So everything's okay. Even a trauma or difficult thing have the possibility to change into more divine soul or knowledge. So everything is good, both the good things and the bad things. It's just two different way of going to knowledge. So you have this with you in your soul, the knowledge, the life force, and the divine energy. And the soul is actually what you really, your soul wishes to come to life, to contribute to life, to learn to live. And in that way, your soul, when you live according to your soul, you are also in contact with all the skills and the life force and the power that helps you to master your life. When you are inhibiting your soul, you need some of that mastering. You need some of the access to a life force. So in that way, when you are more and more connected, follow your path in accordance with your soul, you also have more access to live your life much more like in order to something greater than yourself. But because you're connected to the divine, you are connected to something greater to yourself. You are like a drip of water in a big sea. So when you follow your water drop, you also follow the sea. So in that way, there is a connection there. So if you inhibit that contact, you actually also inhibit a big part of yourself. So that's how I see the soul.
There's like the higher self that's in the higher realm.
Yeah.
And then there's the part of it that is here in the lower realm, dealing with like the messy stuff. Okay.
Yeah. So you can say that the soul is connected to the divine all the time. So the higher self is also connected with the higher, both the higher purpose and also the divine power. So it's like you are connected all the time. When you're living, you're always connected with your soul and the divine, because when you're not, you're dead. So that's very important to remember. We are living persons. We are living, and because we are living, we are in contact with our soul every second of our life and our day.
We're spirits living a human experience.
Yeah. And you have that contact. So it's, for me, it's important that we live more in accordance with our soul, because from that point we have much more resources to solve the everyday problem and the problems in the world much easier. When we are limited in that contact, we will go into self-defense and feeling of missing things and war. We could not, if you have contact with your soul, you also have a lot of surplus of emotional energy, mental energy, life energy. And when you are in plus, you often can keep yourself more calm, and you can contribute to the world in a much better, positive way. If you are stressed or locked or don't have energy enough, you get into survival mode. And the survival mode will, create a lot of problems. So for me, it's like, as humankind, you have to change from survival mode, survival all the time, fighting.
What does our media do? Tell us. Tonight on 10, you're going to die from this, or you're in danger of this.
Yes,
we're going to feed you a bunch of commercials and a bunch of crap, and then we'll tell you at the end, and it'll be really nothing. Yeah. But, for yourselves.
Yeah.
For yourselves, that gets your attention. And we live in that society. And I tell them this to my 13-year-old and 9-year-old all the time. I said, I try to get them to self-reflect on their own emotions and where they come from and why they feel the way they do. Because I think that's the biggest problem in the world is people run around like zombies and just let their emotions control them.
Yeah.
And I tell them, when you're angry, when you're afraid, before you make a choice or a decision or go to do something under those emotions, stop yourself and ask, is that going to be good? Is this going to help? Is this going to do anything good? Or am I making a really dumb decision because I'm angry or I'm scared and I'm doing something out of fear? I always tell them, most people do a lot of stupid things under those two feelings, emotions, fear and anger. And they use that.
Yeah.
People. I try to teach them that people will use those emotions to control you. Is what I'm trying to teach them.
And that's actually also very important, because when you have control about that, if you know that and you look at that and you figure that out, notice that the spirit world that would try to do the same to you cannot hit you, because you have control about your emotional state and your sensory system. So in that way, the physical world will not have the same power over you, and the spirit world that are not clear about their dead cannot either. So in that way, it's a quite good thing that you teach your kids that.
I learned it a hard way from the shadow person experience, because it used all my insecurities, all my fears against me, put me in the worst isolated state. And the moment I humbled myself and asked, I said, God, I couldn't talk. I was paralyzed, as if he was floating me up off my bed.
Yeah.
I said, God, please help me. Is all I could think in my head. I'm so sorry, God, so sorry. And I felt the most overwhelming love, forgiveness, like the best feeling in the world came to that room and wiped this thing out of there. And it just, ever since then, I've not had that problem I felt with any like dark entities or anything like that.
No.
I've had other entities come to me, but not dark like that, because I don't fear them anymore. I really don't.
And that's actually that's really much, not so much about how negative energy from the spirit world can affect, but it's actually what the book Your Soul, Your Life is about, is to release yourself from being controlled by the negative forces within yourself, your negative thoughts about yourself, your emotions, or other people's negative effect about you. So you can start to much more be your own and actually refer into yourself, your soul, and live from that point. Because when you are there, you have much more possibilities to master, to be yourself in your life. And you can distinguish between what's your and what's others. And it's much easier for you to navigate in your life in that way.
Exactly. We got to go to our commercial break. When we come back, we're going to open up the phone lines. Guys, you can talk to our guest, Marzcia Techau. She is the author of Your Soul, Your Life, A Guide to Healing and Self-Healing. She is a medium. Now, tonight, some people are going to call in and be like, can you read for my... You let them know whatever you're willing to do. People will ask when they call in. You shut them down if you shut them down. You just remember, you only got a few minutes to talk to her, have a good question in mind, but you do call in, or an experience is great. You never know what'll happen when you call in. It's live. Paranormal Soup, The Weird Happens live here every Sunday night. We're going to go to commercial break. When we come back with our guest, Marzcia Techau, author of Your Soul, Your Life, after a short commercial break.
Thank you. And how long time is the break?
Conducting an experiment into the combined effects of sensory deprivation and hallucinatory drugs. The subject of the experiment is himself, and the experiment is out of control. Ken Russell's Altered States, a film that must not be missed, is in the West End now. Altered States, Certificate X.
Do you wish for more paranormal and spiritual content? The Paranormal Chronicles magazine is a free digital magazine crammed with the very best in paranormal and spiritual articles and features. No sign-up, no subscription, just free reading and knowledge for you. Read today at www.paranormalchronicles.com/magazine.
Join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Rob, the Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do voices from beyond the cold case files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
Paranation Magazine is a new paranormal magazine based out of Denver, Colorado. Our goal isn't just to give you the best paranormal content out there, but to promote paranormal unity. We're doing this by giving everyone an opportunity to tell their stories and to share their experiences. For more information, follow us on Facebook at Paranation Magazine and soon, paranationmag.com.
I've Never Met a Dead Person I Didn't Like is the extraordinary travels of a young, alone, and broke psychic in the highly anticipated new book from internationally renowned psychic, medium, medical intuitive, and best-selling author Sherry Dillard. Critics have described I've Never Met a Dead Person I Didn't Like as an engrossing memoir, an empowering story of how a broken girl came to accept her psychic gift, a refreshing and fun read. I've Never Met a Dead Person I Didn't Like is available through Amazon, Kindle, Barnes & Noble, and wherever books are sold.
Wrote Spirits of the Dead with a pen dipped in warm blood. You will see the ultimate in terror with this important all-star cast. Brigitte Bardot, Alain Delon, Jane Fonda, Terence Stamp, and Peter Fonda in Edgar Allan Poe's Spirits of the Dead. Only Poe's demented genius could bring to the screen such horror and evil. Spirits of the Dead stars Brigitte Bardot, Alain Delon, Jane Fonda, Terence Stamp, and Peter Fonda. Directed by three masters of the cinema, Federico Fellini, Louis Malle, and Roger Vadim. Spirits of the Dead is an adventure in terror beyond your wildest nightmares. Spirits of the Dead in color is rated R.
The answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything is 42. Yes, I thought it over quite thoroughly. It is, it's 42. It would have been simpler, of course, to have known what the actual question was.
But it was the question. The ultimate question. Of everything.
That's not a question. Only when you know the question will you know what the answer means.
You're listening to Paranormal Soup, bringing you the weird every Sunday night. Call into the show and join the discussion. The call-in lines are 219-230-4444 or 260-225-9419. Or by Skype caller ID OOJBland00 or JBland Paranormal Soup. And now to your host, Jason Bland.
Tonight's guest is Marzcia Techau. She is the author of Your Soul, Your Life, A Guide to Healing and Self-Healing. She's a medium. She's a Reiki practitioner. She's a we have a lot of different things we can talk about tonight, but you can join this conversation. The phone lines are now open. Let me make sure they're open. If I can get them open. Hold on. Working on it. Phone lines are now open. If you want to call in and join this conversation with our guest, Marzcia Techau, author of Your Soul, Your Life. I don't think she's going to, I don't know if she, will pick up anything or read for you at all. I didn't ask her to do that tonight if you call in. But if you want to call in with your questions, your experiences, please do join this conversation. I don't know how much longer we'll go tonight. We'll see. She's all the way early morning in Denmark, so I don't want to kill her tonight. So when she's ready to call it, we'll probably call the show. Call in, join the conversation, but let's get back to our guest. All right, phone lines are open. Thank you for continuing with us early morning in Denmark.
Thank you.
So, it's interesting. I read in your bio that you did Danish TV 3+. They had like was it like a ghost hunting show, or what was it?
Yeah, it was we had two seasons of it was like a haunted house show where I didn't know what I was going into. It was like the TV crew was picking me up, and then they were just driving me somewhere, and then I had to sense what was happening there, and I didn't talk to the people living there, so I just have to go through the house and find out what's the problems. After I had done that, I was talking to the participants and healing them, releasing the dead ones, and connecting them with the good deceased ones. So for me, it's like it was a job where I have to heal a house, train some people, connect them with the loved ones. And also the facts that I was doing the show was researched or investigated. So the TV crew went back to the participants 3 weeks later to hear how they were feeling, if they were feeling better, and confirming the information that I have been giving about the dead ones and so on. So it was a very good structured show, actually.
That is, yeah. I used to, way back in the day, got into watch all the paranormal shows. Now I can barely watch most of them, at least the ones here in the U.S. Maybe it's because I did residential paranormal investigations like this for a number of years, and it's hard for me to watch the way that TV Hollywood does it.
Yeah.
Like everything. They got some device that says demon, every 2 seconds and stuff like that. It's like, oh, come on, because when you're dealing with people that live, like, I don't know if you heard of my news story about the people in Ireland on Christmas being, they have to have government housing, and they first got a house with mold. And then the second house they give them is completely haunted, enough that they're going to court to try to get out of it, And, I felt so bad for that family with children. I mean, nobody wants to think when they're going to night that their kid is going to be attacked by something. That's the worst nightmare for a parent. I felt bad for them in that article. It's great. I, as a paranormal investigator, honestly, we never got rid of anything. I had mediums I would work with and stuff like that, but I never promised that to clients. I said, I'd even warn them off. I'd say, by us coming in here, asking questions, trying to get evidence, and trying to see what's going on, we can make the activity worse.
Yeah,
I wouldn't lie.
So
I wouldn't lie about it.
If you're not resolving it, I would say it would be better not to do anything, because the thing is, when it gets so what I normally do is I see it as a healing assignment. So again, the job is to get peacefulness in the house and understanding in the living ones, and connect them with the good dead ones, and get everything to work better. So I don't use instruments like that. I just connect with the dead ones. Normally I see, like, when you go into a haunted house, it's like a war zone. There is some unreleased,
unfinished business.
Yeah, they are not really. They don't know they are dead, and imagine that you don't know that you are dead, and someone else moved into your house, and they have really noisy children as well, and they start to pull down the walls that you have had, or maybe you have built them yourself. You will get quite angry. So in that way, we have someone that's unsolved, not all passed over, and then there will be a lot of loved ones from the other side trying to help the family. So there will be a lot of dead ones present there, some that wants to help, and some that will not want to change the position. That's their house, their lives, and they are really, really good, satisfied with the way everything is.
It seems like some of them know they're dead. They just don't want to leave.
Yeah, but they don't know they are dead in the way that they will seek light. So it's like there's some resistance between that. So it's like, okay, I'm dead, but I'm not really dead, because I'm used to the physical realm. I'm living there like a parasite.
The ones that bothered me as an investigator my big thing was EVPs. That was my specialty, is getting EVP recordings,
Yeah.
And I'd get children's voices.
Yeah.
That disturbs me as a father now.
Yeah.
Like, how's a child? Where's the? How's that? Something messed up in the works if a child is left behind in a sense. That they haven't moved on to the light. That's the hard one for me to understand.
Yeah, but again, you should understand some of the children. When I have been working with houses where there have been children that's not passed away, probably, it's mostly because they have had a really, really nasty story. So they're a lot of afraid, or they are missing someone. They will not. Somehow they are feeling they will not pass over because they miss their father or mother, or they have been having a very bad childhood. There could be very many different kinds of reasons that children are hanging on.
Trauma that keeps them there.
Yeah.
But that's so sad.
Yeah, it is sad. It is sad. But and that's why many cultures actually start to, when you have a new house or you build a house, it's like you go into contact with spirit and ask, is it okay to have a house here? Or they somehow make a holy thing about building the house and moving into the house. And that part for me is also like releasing negative stuff, and what spirit that may not be passing over in the right way would help. So many cultures have actually taken this in account in their way of moving in. I will never move into a house without healing it now. It's not even my business houses, if you can say that. I heal them, and I just like ask for help and what could I do to keep the energy very good for me to be in.
One of the things I would tell clients, that are going through it, I'd say, especially if they just moved in the location, I'm like, have you had a housewarming party? Have one. Bring all your best. Don't bring any toxic friends. Don't do drugs or alcohol, but just have a good get together with the people that really cheer you up the most, really brighten up your energy, and do that. Throw a party. Not an alcoholic drug party. Do not do that. But I'm saying, like, have a good friends, family. People that really raise the vibration. That can change things. That can just do it. That sometimes is enough to change the odd noises you're hearing and the weird stuff going on. Because why I say that, I noticed it as investigators. We go into a place that people are like, literally one place they were like literally having the Bible catch on fire and thrown down the hallway, like crazy stuff. Okay, but again, one of the clients was a heavy drinker.
Yeah.
And I think in seeing and talking to things all the time, people are like, well, it's because he's drunk. No, I think he was drunk because he's super open to all this stuff, and he's trying to shut it down with alcohol, and it's feeding off of him in a negative way. Yeah. We come in, he's out of the house, nothing. It's a quiet, peaceful house. Why? Because we're all there having a good time. Yeah. There's other locations like that we've gone to that can be very negative, and the energy changes because our group comes in and we're all happy to be there. What I'm saying? This is what we love to do. But you affect the environment with your own energies.
Yeah. And again, that's actually why I feel it's very important that we take responsibility for our emotions and our state of mind and our actions. And when we do that, we come in a good contact with our soul, as if our soul always will prefer to do good and will always try to, contribute to the room in a good way. So
go ahead.
Yeah, so when you do that, when you come into a haunted house and you look at it in that way, it's more like a healing assignment. And that, of course, there's a lot of spooky sensation things, but it's not what's important. As you say, the Hollywood thing, it's not that important. The important thing is somebody is actually, there is a living one that not thrives, and there is a dead one that doesn't thrive at all. So you have to heal them. So the dead one actually comes over where it should be, and the dead ones that loves the living ones are connected, because that creates a loving space. And a loving space is actually the balsam, or that's the safety spot.
I also, earlier you talked about how a certain spirit will resonate with somebody else's energy.
Yeah.
And I had a long time ago, I had Barry Taff on here that did the entity case, parapsychologist out of LA, very, very well known. And his whole theory was that, it's a factors of environment and person. Yeah. And the person's like the needle on the record player, and sometimes they'll resonate with that environment that'll make things. Now, he looked at things a lot of like psychokinetic energy coming from people, but in a sense, I also look at it as like, well, it could be a person the environment, and another entity. All these three things coincide together, because you have people that will move into a house and they've never had anything haunted happen to them there or anywhere in their life. I always get in this conversation when I interview clients. Okay, you're telling me about all this stuff at this house. I want to go back. Tell me about all the weird stuff that's happened to you. Like, what else is weird? Have you ever lived in another haunted house, seen a UFO? Or, I'm not trying, and I tell them, I'm not doing this to try to see if, like, you're some kind of big believer or anything. I'm trying to see how open you are to experiences.
Exactly.
Are you the needle on the record?
Mhm.
Is that why this is happening? Because you've opened this thing up. Some locations are going to even take somebody who's never experienced anything, and it's going to show them open their eyes. I think there are some locations, doesn't matter, doesn't need a needle. They're skimming off the ranch.
So they will get
They'll get the skeptic running out the door. There are some places like that, but I think there's a lot of places. It's like certain people will live there and it's going to be crazy, and certain people live there and nothing will happen.
Yeah, and that's what I call about, if you have the skills, somehow you have the ability to have this spiritual energy, that spiritual can actually, the spirit world can actually be stronger when they're in contact with that. So if you are that battery, you also have to
Batteries
learn how to control that, and which deceased persons that you're in contact with. So it's like, if you have that energy or you have that abilities, you have to learn to understand them, because it's human abilities. It's not like extraordinary in that way. It's like every human being is divine and soul, and the one that contact us is divine and soul. It's just like, which level do we contact? And as you say, look at your friends. Are it good friends for you, or are they not? And try to keep with the good ones. It's quite easy in that way. So
There, yeah, I have good friends. I just don't have a lot. I have a really good best friend, and my wife's my best friend, and I've kept my circle small. And then I have made a lot of friends doing this show. Acquaintances and friends like Jamie and Rob. That Rob I've met in person. I've never met Jamie in person, but she's one of my good friends. So I've widened my circle because of the show. If it wasn't for the show, my circle would be very small.
Yeah.
Because I have put up those boundaries with people and stuff at times. I don't trust humans. I'm more scared of what humans will do than what ghosts or demons or aliens might do.
Yeah.
Any day, I'll take my chances with the aliens or ghosts or Bigfoot than I will with some stranger I don't know, because they're dangerous, because they're human.
Yes, I can understand your argument. I have been, I've been working with spirit world since professionals in 23 years now, and it's so much love, and there's so much healing, and so much really from their heart, a big wish to help us, support us, and they are happy when we do good, and they help us when we do bad. It's like they have very much confidence that we will find our way, much more than we have ourselves. So I would say the contact with spirit world have definitely meant a big change in my life to the better. Because
I think, well, as I say, I mean, for me, it's where I've seen it change people that didn't think about it or worry about it or care about it when they have an experience, usually like a loved one dying and coming through. Yeah, they had a horrible event of a loved one dying, but them coming through, letting them know they're still there. That's true love. They're always with you, even after death, and that true love carries on. You will carry on.
Yeah,
it's a little bit of like assurance that this is just it.
Yeah,
for people.
It is, and what I find very interesting is that because many people have problems sensing their soul and how amazing they are. Our soul is amazing. Every people are unique and amazing, but there can be a lot of stuff that makes you act different. It could be adaptations from environment, from childhood, from trauma, a lot of stuff. But when you die and you get this meta look about everything, you got into a deeper contact with your soul, then you can actually come back to your loved ones and say, I'm sorry. And I will help to release the stuff that I have been affecting on you that's not you. I have that so much from That could be alcoholic parents, or that could
Right.
be
Well, no, I mean,
other things. So they actually come and help and heal, even though they are dead. The contact will be the pure love that heal the child, the grown-up child, and I feel that love very, very deeply, like a healing process that can release both the dead one and the living one to live their life much better.
sometimes I know I go dark with these things, but when it comes to like alcoholism, of course there's genetics and everything that plays in it and stuff like that. But with drugs, alcoholism, these addictions and stuff like that, I swear to God, I've seen it where a family member who was an alcoholic dies, and it's like the person, a son, nephew, or somebody, really usually a son or daughter, who didn't drink a lot before that point. Suddenly that parent dies, and it's like now they're carrying on the addiction. It's like suddenly they're starting to carry on some of those mannerisms. And it makes me wonder, is there another entity involved? Is there a third factor in this? Like, because they talk about generational hauntings, demonic generational hauntings, stuff like that, that there's entities or things that feed off of this, feed off of addiction.
It could, of course, there could be stuff like that, but it could also be, when you grow up with an alcoholic, you are co-alcoholic. So when the other one stops, maybe there will be some problems there. So there could be a lot of just trauma and personal development
breaking the cycle
connected as well. And it's also as what I call epigenetic. So it's also transferred through generations. Of course, there could also be energy feeding on that. That's also a normal thing, but that's mostly when you enter a pub and you drink, and then there are dead ones connecting to you. But when the bus is over, they are leaving again, because they cannot drink now, but they can live a little about the bus.
Right. This is why I'm getting at this, because the when I held that photo of that guy, before that moment, my wife and me were going into this house, and I turned to my wife, and I see these alcohol bottles up there, and I got this strong, overwhelming desire. I want to drink.
Yeah.
And that's when I was in my early, 24, 25, and I was really getting into meditation and understanding my own emotions and feelings and trying to identify. And what I recognized right away was, that's not me. And I turned to my wife, because I don't drink. I'm not a big drinker. I don't like to drink. I turn to my wife and I go, there's something here. There's something, there's some presence here. She goes, oh, he knows. She had brought me there, tell me that her girlfriend has a new boyfriend, we're going to go hang out. What she didn't tell me is that her boyfriend had come to her girlfriend and said, my house is haunted. I have all this crazy weird stuff going on. And they're like, oh, let me get Jason over there. And so they don't tell me.
Just let him come unaware. Yeah.
Yeah. And they want to see if I know, because I usually do. And I did. It was like the moment I walked through the door, it's like, damn, that only took like 1 second and he knew something was going on here. I'm like, so they're all looking at me like I'm psychic. And that's how I ended up, he gave me the photo and I just suddenly blurted out, the guy's name's Bob. And I'm like, I don't know why I said that.
Yeah.
And then they were like, what's the last name? And I knew the last name. I was really close.
Yeah.
And, and then I knew all that stuff. But the thing is, that want to drink, the moment I walked through that door, was so strong. And I've never forgot about that, because I'm like, how much does that affect other people that don't know they're sensitive to these things, and they pick up this, and these entities, like, he wanted me to drink. He wanted me to, he wanted to get a little taste of that. That's what I felt like. And I've experienced this before. I don't like there's a lot of bars I don't like to go. I don't go to bars. I don't like bars at all. But there's definitely ones I don't like to go to, because I feel like there's bad mojo at that bar.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing is, here again, that's why I think it's important to actually help people to know who they are and what their own boundaries are and what they feel like, and actually understand that we are connected to sense our environment, and we are affected by the environment. As children, we cannot regulate our own nervous system. We regulate it towards our parents and the environment. And we continue to do that as grown-ups as well. But you can have much less or more contact to yourself and who yourself are. So when you meditate, you can sense yourself, the peacefulness within yourself. So when you're not peaceful, is it some of your own emotions, or is it something from outside? But if you don't have that contact or that inner core up in yourself,
inner reflection,
then,
what it is.
Then you actually have that problem to navigate in that. So in that point, it's very important that we teach the young ones to know that they do that. It's a normal way of being aware. Is there something that's good for us or not good for us? And that we sense that presence. So again, if you had the skill, the training, that's not me, that's someone else. Is it a living one or is it a dead one?
I think isn't that the biggest part for a medium? The development is really recognizing your own inner state.
Yeah,
knowing when something is foreign.
Yeah, but it should be for everyone. It should be
right. I agree.
It should be in the schools that we teach that.
I agree. 100%. Preach it to the choir.
It's like it's.
I think it's the biggest problem in society. I think it's one of the biggest problems in society is I call it, and we're controlled by problem, reaction, solution by certain people. They create a problem, you react emotionally, overreact or whatever, and they give us the solution they wanted the whole time. I think they train us through media and everything to just react emotionally to stuff, and things are justified because I feel this way, not reflecting on why do I feel this way? Where did this emotion come from? There's no talk about that, and I think it would change society if people if there's more inner reflection.
Yeah.
Don't react to your emotions.
It's of course we should react to our emotions if it's good, if it's coming from, if it's loving, if it's from a good source. You can do a lot of good from bad emotions, so you should have the good emotions and do good from there.
Yeah, there's a lion chasing you and you're running for fear. That's a good one. React to that,
So when you're peaceful, you are not as easily running for fear or anger, and you will start to radiate peacefulness or love or this inner calmness, and that will affect your environment because the environment mirrors you. So when you start to be strong within yourself and in your soul, you will start to have this positive effect on the environment because everybody mirrors everyone. So when you run for the highest fear or the highest anger, there's problems. But if you actually start to contribute to the world with another feeling of, peacefulness, environment, love, power, gentleness, then people will start to mirror that. And they will start to come in contact with themselves in those emotions. So it's actually to be aware of how you affect your environment. Becoming yourself will affect your environment in a much better way. And you will start your own circle of transforming the world and the humanity. So it starts with yourself and your self-reflection. But the self-reflection could be mental, but I would rather much say start to reflect your soul and your emotions and the thoughts that are connected with your emotions, because you have a lot of everyday thoughts, a lot of patterns of fear and neglect and everything that's passing through your system. So you have to go past that noise and into the quietness, as you do when you meditate. Because when you are in this quiet place, your soul has quietness. Your soul has peacefulness. So when you come into a quiet place within yourself, you also have a bigger contact with your soul and the quietness there. And when that happens, you have a hang on it. You have an anchor in yourself that you can, always return to. And then it's becoming much clearer what's your own feelings, what's others, what's the fear. Is the fear from yourself when you were a little one, or is it fear from others? So you have a lot of encoded things from your childhood and from your lineage, from your parents and your ancestors, but you also have a lot of good stuff.
You also have your past life stuff, too. So many good stuff with us. I've dealt with this with my 9-year-old Liam. From one, I saw him before he was born, like years before he was born. I saw him as translucent, like 9, 10. He's 9 now. He looks about what I saw walking through my living room, a 9-year-old boy, 10-year-old boy, walking through my living room, and he smiled at me. He was translucent, but I was perfectly content. It was middle of the day. My parents' house was not haunted. I was getting ready to move out because I was marrying my wife. When he was born, I knew it was him. He smiled at me the moment they took him out of the C-section and put him up because my wife smiled. I took a picture of it. It's a long story. Everybody's heard. But I knew he was. So when he was really young and he started talking, he would have really upset anger, like just angry out of nowhere. And he would talk. When he'd get in these really big fits about bodies on the hill. He had mentioned a couple times about seeing bodies on the hill. And this would be weird. And he's always been into soldiers and all this stuff. And just this last year, he had another like breakdown. He had a problem at school, and he broke down to me. And he's like, "I'm messed up. I'm bad inside. I still see the bodies on the hill." I'm like, "Oh, he's still talking about this." I'm like, "Let's talk about it. What do you see when you talk about bodies on the hill? Well, tell me what you see." He says, "It's cold, and my friends left. They deserted." I don't think he used the word deserted. He said they left me. My friends left me. He didn't use the word desert. He doesn't know that word. He said my friends left me. And my brain goes desertion, because he's always been obsessed with soldiers. So yes, my brain's thinking he's probably a soldier in some kind of war. He's talking about bodies and fighting. And he killed people. That was his thing. I killed people. I see myself killing people. So I'm horrible. That's what he said. He's had this since he was little. Just start talking. He told my wife he chose. He told my wife he chose us. And it goes back to that when I saw him 8 years before he was born, I think, or whatever. I saw him, and he was this translucent boy, so he was choosing us then, 8 years before he was born, maybe, Either way, he's having this trauma, this poor little child having this trauma of this battlefield. I go, tell me, just go back. I want you to picture the bodies on the hill. I want you to picture it. Tell me any words that come to your mind. And he's like, I don't know if it's my name. Just one word, Colmar. Well, I'm a little history buff, a little bit, and it sounded familiar, and I looked it up, and there was a battle in World War II called Colmar Pocket from 1944, December, where it was like the last hill that they were fighting on. The French trying to get back the hill from the Germans holding on to it. The Germans were starved out. The Germans were deserting, and there was a big final bloody battle on that hill. Somewhere, I think, in the end of December or January of 40, maybe January of 45. It was awful. It was bloody. It was a nightmare. And when he said that, he said it Colmar. He said it just like it said. And when I went back to him, I said, when you say Colmar, does the Colmar Pocket sound familiar? His eyes lit up.
Yeah.
Because that's what the soldiers would refer to it as the pocket.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to me, it's like, why, I get why we have to start fresh and new, but for a small child to have those images in his head.
Yeah, but again, this is past lives. So he has memories from past lives. So again, when he's a soul, he has died, he has entered, the divine, and he's ready to be born again. And when he comes down, he comes through the point of remembering or difficult stuff, trauma point. And now he can talk about it. And when you actually I will do like a karmic healing on that. So he will feel this past life releases him, and he will get access to the soul part of that past life. So for me, when I work with actually past lives, when it's tragic or there is some blockage there or trauma there, it's much like how I work with releasing unreleased dead persons, so it's actually again to contact with the healing energy and ask for that soldier to come home in the light. So a part of your some soul is hanging here because of trauma. So releases the trauma from that life will also release your son today. And actually, there's some very good. I have seen so many karmic releases where I call it retrieval of the soul. So when you come down, releases a trauma connected with past lives, you can get in contact with a soul part that you couldn't get in contact with. The soul has to go down again to release the trauma to get contact with that part of the soul. And when your son's quest this life till now has been to get in contact with that soul part. So it would be like a healing for that soldier. So the loss and being alone and the fear, and accept that was that life, and that was the opportunities he had that at that time. So he will release that. So a karmic healing to release that soldier will help your son to be more in contact with his whole soul and why he's here in this life. And again, if Netflix has made a series called Surviving Death, and one of the episodes is about reincarnation or past lives. And what's interesting about Jim Tucker's work there is he interviews a lot of the children that have had past life memories
Right.
very much in a very what can you say, more intense than normal children.
Right.
And what I find interesting is one of the children, one of the boys there, he talks about a plane, and I think it's Jack.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
his Jack, and the plane crashes,
Yeah.
and they found out that the plane crashes outside Japan, and his family takes him to that place, and when they are taking the boat right over that spot where the plane presumably is crashed, the boy has a really strong reaction. And then he somehow healed that trauma by connecting with that point. And after that, he's much more a normal boy again, with much more access to himself. And he's actually a quite happy boy. But when you look at some of the other children that have been grown up and he introduced them, they're not quite happy. They don't remember. They are like a little, no, they haven't got the healing process. I wouldn't recommend to take to France and set your son on that hill and everything.
No.
I would much more recommend that you find a healer that would be able to release that past life. And normally I talk about finding the trauma. Your son has this feeling of being a bad person because he have killed somebody and he's different from the others and everything like that.
Well, he said he doesn't want to die in a war again. That's what he said. I don't want to die
that's
again.
a good thing, I would say.
Yeah.
A lot more.
But he's obsessed with soldiers, though. He has his walls camouflaged, his bed's camouflaged, his coat's camouflaged.
So somehow there is something he's trying to heal that experience by, of course, using the skills that he have had in that life, but also trying to process it, digest that feeling. But if he got healing to that, he would, heal the soldier, would be healed up, and the soul essence would be coming totally back to the between life. And then your son can integrate that soul piece he's here to get in contact with. So it can be, integrating with the world today. So what's interesting is not so much the soldier's life, but what the trauma has been doing to block your son's access to his soul. And he's trying to heal that because he knows behind the trauma there is a bigger soul access, or access to his skills and who he really is. So he's trying to heal up. So maybe a healer that could make that connection could be interesting, because it's not everybody of us have been living before. We have not clear memories, but it's actually very normal that people can walk in a place and find out, I have been here before, or why is I'm good at this, and everything like that. And that's part of living there before. And what's interesting in what you also, now we are talking about your son, so a karmic healing to help him release the soldier and integrate much of the soul that's locked in that trauma of being, the fear of being left behind, or feeling alone and isolated and everything like that. There could be a lot of patterns that he has in his personality today that's actually trauma from that.
He's a little loner like his dad.
Yeah. but again, he's a little loner, but again, you're not really a little loner. You are highly sensitive and connect very much with your surroundings, and that's overwhelming. And the way to cope with that is to be a little loner. But it would be interesting for your son also to work with that, because I'm quite sure that he's a very lovely boy that actually, when he's feeling safe, is very social.
Oh yeah, you got it right there on the head. I mean,
So-
like if he's comfortable, yeah, he's very social.
Yeah, and that's his normal state. That's his healthy state.
Yeah, I
The
love
other
hearing him
one
giggle
is-
when he's being that state. It's just when he's in that other state, it ain't great. He can get a very negative state.
Yeah,
And I think a
that's-
lot of that's past life. Yeah.
Yeah, that could be past lives problems. So to work with that would be very interesting. I see it all the time, how it not only releases him, but it could also be some trauma that could be interacting. Has he been talking about maybe have met you or your wife before or his brother before?
Not that, just that when he was really little, he told my wife that he had chose us.
Yeah.
He was
So
like 3,
he
I
has
think.
chosen you probably because he have good feelings about you, because you have had good lives with him before.
Right. I agree.
So-
I mean, I believe we were what they call it, probably like a soul family, or
Yeah.
that we have these people in our lives, not just
We
family
have-
members.
Really, I think we have more than one
Right.
soul family. So we are coming down to the same soul construction many times, but we have more souls that we are born with. And what's also interesting, when I work, I teach in karmic healing and epigenetic healing. So I teach my healers how to work with those two, what you have from your lineage and what you have from your past lives. Because it's, our physical body is our DNA. That's our ancestors.
That's your ancestors, yeah.
Yeah. And they have had a lot of skills. So your soul is connected with a body that has the possibilities to outlive your skills. It wouldn't make sense if you didn't have those skills. So your ancestors have been doing the same stuff that you have been doing. So there is a pre-encoded possibility to develop your skills that you have with your soul. That's your soul journey. So you have your family journey and you have your soul journey. And in this life, they are matched like this. Your soul and your body is connected. They have possibilities, both of them, to connect and express the soul's capacity. And your soul, your son is here to release something that will click even more. So the body and his soul will click even more, so he can outlive his soul even more. So what's interesting is you can have traumas from your family and you can traumas from your past lives, but you also have a lot of good things from your family and a lot of good things from your past lives. So you have to, reveal what's the good parts and what's the trauma part and work with both of them. And I also, when I teach karmic healing to my students, often some of them are born into lives that are not physical or on other planets. So we have experience in our soul of being in totally other kinds of societies. And many of the people that have extraordinary sensory system is used to being much more telepathic or much more energy beings connected in somehow keeping a good energy vibration in a dimension. And now we are born into a physical body and we have those skills in a world that functions totally different, but it still have the same, you still have the same ability to sense everything very clearly. So again, as you described yourself, you actually have a very close contact to the spirit world. And you also saw your son before he arrived here. And that's some of the skills you have your soul, but you probably also have experiences of other lives where you have not been a physical human, but another being in deep contact with environments and in deep contact with consciousness, like more telepathic contact. Because when you don't have a physical body, you will probably communicate telepathic. That's, not so much junk, just clear communication. But clear communication is very difficult in the physical world, where you have your, you have your subconscious, you have your overconsciousness or your daily consciousness that blah, 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 and the subconscious, blah, blah, blah. And then you have your soul trying to, keep that quiet. I'm here. Listen to your intuition. Follow your path. No, not that way again. Oh no. It's difficult.
And you lie to yourself, and the people lie to you. In this state, in the physical world, you don't know what somebody's telling you the truth. Over on that side, telepathically, all lies should be. There should be no lies.
Yeah.
It's all shared.
So
I got to say, really quick, I apologize. A little while ago, I just got the phone lines really open because I think I didn't have my VOP open on those sideline ones. So if anybody was trying to call earlier, that might have been the reason why you weren't getting through. It is now working. We are going to end the show soon. If anybody wants to get a question in, Super Chat's guarantee. Get a question to our guests through the chat room, but you can call in. We'll be ending soon by probably the next 15 minutes. So anybody wants to call in, you got about that much time. That's really interesting. I'd love to, like, I see with Dean or Liam, after we had that conversation and he said that and we had the realization, I've noticed a change. There was some kind of like let go of it, I think. You know, I think it helped him that moment because we were having a lot of problems up to that point, and then we haven't had so much since then.
Yeah.
It's like after he got it off his chest,
he got it placed on the right the right place. It's like, okay, that was then, this is now. And it's this deeper level of understanding. That's a healing process. And that you actually met him, understood him, talked about it, and he could somehow find peace with it. It will probably still be some traumas that would be nice to work with. But as I said, it's very important that we listen to our kids in that, because they actually come with remembering stuff. Both remembering, but also physical remembering, emotional remembering, it's everything. And sometimes they don't know that it's past life being replayed or what they sense is past life. But if you notice it, you can help them very much.
What I told him in that instant when he had the breakdown, we talked about it all, was that, you know, because, you know, we were pretty much figuring he was probably a German, a Nazi. And that he killed people. So he's like, I'm horrible, you know, it's his feeling inside. It's like, something's wrong with me, I'm bad. I'm like, you're having this feeling inside that something's bad because you have these memories of doing bad things. But if you understand reincarnation, that you've been here before, and you've lived many different lives, and everybody else has. Everybody's been the bad guy. Everybody's been the good guy.
Yes,
everybody's been the normal person. Everybody's been an excellent person. We've lived all kinds of different lives. There's no judgments. We're just lessons. We're just things we're learning. That's what I explained to him. I said, there's just things we're learning. It's not a judgment upon you.
And the fact that he knows that he feels bad about it shows he's in a different place than he was back then.
I said, you're living in a different place now, you know?
So the thing is that when we heal up on trauma, we also heal up of our self-consciousness and the picture we have of ourselves. So we give ourselves a possibility to actually see the good in ourselves and live in more aligned with that. So it's very good that you took that talk with him, because it makes a big difference. And we are here to do, our soul enters again to do better and to, you know, heal the leftovers that you have had and try to fix things. And I think it's very important that we remember that our soul is not pain, it's not fear, it's not evil, it's good. And what makes the problem is often our pre-coding into survival and the trauma there and the feelings that when you close down your heart, you can do really, really nasty things. But if it's not safe to have an open heart, you have to close it down. So even very good people can do really, really bad things if they're not in contact with their soul.
Well, I mean, that's what I see, the psychopaths, the school shooters, the people that are really done horrible, evil things. They always say they're not able to have the same human connections me and you do. You know, they can't make those human emotional connections. And they're isolated from society in that way. And that's what makes these people monsters. They don't have empathy. They don't have compassion, you know. They don't feel like we do. You know, they can't feel remorse or feel guilt or feel put themselves in somebody else's shoes and feel their pain. It's hard for them to do that, so they're isolated, and they become detached. And this can happen to people. Normal people can get this way. You know, life can do that to people. Trauma can do that to people. You know, there's a lot of ways people can get to that point of being detached, I say, from their higher self or their soul, or detached. And society tries to get you to do that. They try to make, you know, somebody has a different political difference to you is, you know, they try to get you to dehumanize them. You know, there's things that we do in society where we try to dehumanize people, you know, and take away that empathy from people. You don't need to have empathy for people. They're evil. They're bad, you know. We do these things and train people, black or white.
Yeah, that is I think again, that's a really big problem, because then you will continue to get more and more of that. And if the society is overwhelming, or if you don't have a society that really helps you to digest trauma or develop your humanity skills, then we have problems, and we have those problems now. So it's really important to make a change there, to understand the importance of the environments we are connected with reflects who we develop ourselves to be, or the patterns that we get. But we are something else, and if we start to be connected with our soul, we will start to make a difference. And it would be, our soul has the, one thing is, our soul has the capacity, it has emotional capacity, mental capacity, environment, life force for the self and the organs, but also the spiritual world wants to help us. So we have also, when I'm channeled for a healing energy, the healing energy comes with the surplus of emotional energy, so you get help to digest difficult things. So again, because we have a society where soul and healing are not, a normal accepted part of a human being, we have actually taken out the most precious part of the human being in our way of teaching people in school and the way the society is. So it's so important that we get the soul back to the focus, not like the church preaches the soul, but how everybody has an individual soul connected with something bigger. So in that way, when we give room for that, we also give room for the heart can open. It could be a peaceful place. It could be a respectable place for everybody. And also when we understand that when we are pushed to a border, everybody can close their heart and try to fight for the right to be alive or for their dear ones. So, everybody could be a German Nazis, or it's depending on the pressure, you will also develop yourself, but you will close your heart to do that. And we have to have a society where an open heart is the one that we are growing, nurturing, evolving, because there you have the contact to yourself, you have the borders, and you have a surplus of energy that will help you not to create more of trouble.
Well, the other main thing I teach my sons, besides that, I try to teach them, put yourself in somebody's shoes, especially with kids. You don't know what they go home to. You go home to us, we're nice, great parents, right? Hope they think so. And so, but you don't know what that kid goes home to. You don't know what they're dealing with. Just remember that. Try to put yourself in somebody else's shoes. And the big thing I teach them is you can only control how you feel and what you do. You can't control what other people do, because one of my favorite books, little book by a Buddhist monk named Thich Nhat Hanh, is Peace is Every Step. Yeah. So I try to teach them, if you want peace, if you want life to be peaceful and you want peace from others, you can't choose what they're going to do, but you can choose what you do. And you have to give it. You're going to have to give peace if you expect it back from others. Yeah. So remember, what is this choice or action going to give me peace, give peace to others, or is this choice or action going to cause conflict? Think, just trying to get them to think about, what am I doing? Am I thinking about their actions? That's the biggest thing I want people to realize. Before we go, I'm going to get in. Your website is yourfirstname.com, Marzcia.com, where you have meditations for people on there. For them to learn. Your book, Your Soul, Your Life, A Guide to Healing and Self-Healing. They can find that where? The website, on Amazon.
Yeah, it would be all over. So in the book there is mentioned a lot of those healing meditations, so you can connect, you can go into the meditation part of my homepage, and then you can listen to some of the healing meditations. They have different trainings depending on the trauma or what you like to develop within yourself. It could be contact with your guardian angel, it could be self-healing, self-regulation, it could be some of the things we have been talking about today, how to control your sensory system so you'll be more aware of who are you and what's actually other people's stuff. So it's the book is based on a lot of theory and case stories and a lot of exercises for self-healing. So it's understanding how the trauma works, what you have with you in your soul, inner child work, epigenetic work with past, with your ancestors. So it's all around how to connect soul and body in your everyday life. So it's quite.
I like the title too. Your soul, your life is it's your soul, it's your life. You have to make the choices. You have to do it. It's your destiny.
Nobody else can do it. No one can live your life, and you have the responsibility to give yourself the best possibility to live your life. And trauma and living in accordance to other people's opinions or society maybe not be the best choice for you. But your choice to be you is the best choice for you. And sometimes, now we've been talking about a lot of love and peacefulness, but sometimes no is also very peaceful and loving things to do. No, thank you. I will go in another direction.
Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us all the way from Denmark. Early morning for you. I'm getting so much sinus drainage right now. I have to be to work tomorrow, so I am going to call the show a little bit early, just a little bit. And I'm sorry about the phone lines earlier, guys. I thought I had it right, but I forgot I had somebody calling me last Sunday. I think they thought we had a show, and I had the phone lines off. So they were on. I'm sorry if you tried calling in earlier, but thank you so much, Marzcia. Guys, check out her book, Your Soul, Your Life, A Guide to Healing and Self-Healing. That's it for the show. We will be back next Sunday. Same bad time.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you for attending. Thank you for listening out there.
All right, guys. Next week, we will have Nancy Ura talk about angel communication and spiritual laws. That's her book next Sunday. Same bad time, same bad channel, 10 p.m. Central, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific time. Check us out on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. You can find our Patreon link in the show description if you want to help donate $1 or $2 a month to help pay the bills for this show. And also Super Chats. Don't forget that you can always do to help donate to the show as well. Thank you again, Marzcia. You're an excellent guest. We will be back next Sunday, guys. I will see you then. Have a great night. See you in 2025, guys. Have a great new year, too.
Thank you. So nice.